I bring you the best of featured guests that help us to design our life's vision and goals one episode at a time. Today is no different. I have the pleasure of introducing to some and presenting to others Tiffany Bethea. She's going to talk to us today about marketing, branding, spirit, body, and soul. She is an award-winning, best-selling author, international speaker, trained coach, and consultant. She's also an ordained minister, worship leader, and mompreneur. She is the founder of Kingdom Boss, through which she has provided a space for Christian entrepreneurs to learn to advance the kingdom of God in the marketplace. Through the signature program, Kingdom Boss Academy, Kingdom entrepreneurs turn their passion and expertise into profitable coaching programs. That's money, y'all. Consulting packages and courses. As Kingdom entrepreneurs encounter her, they go from stuck and stagnant to overflow in their business. And I love it. She often talks about increasing your income from 0 to 10,000 plus a month. We are going to get into it today after the introduction. Tiffany Bethea. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hi, Dr. Lisa. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am super excited that you are here. A full disclosure to today's viewers. I let Tiffany know before we started the interview that I am secretly stalking her. I mean, I love how she moves in the earth and how she shows up in a major way from Clubhouse to Facebook to the internet street. She is doing the thing. I love it. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm telling you, that's so encouraging. You have no idea. Thank you so much. I love it. I appreciate it.
Yes, so talk to us about Kingdom Boss, okay? Yeah. Making sure that even though we are serving God, but there's nothing wrong with making some folding paper money, okay? Not even coins, folding paper.
Okay, quiet money, okay? As it has been said.
Yes, so talk to us about that and how you got started in doing Kingdom Boss.
You know what's so funny, Dr. Lisa? I didn't even want to do it.
What?
Now, look, you know how God gives you an assignment and you're like it's optional, right? I'm telling you, okay? What the bio didn't say was I'm also a PK. I've been in church my whole life. And I was just trying to be a regular marketing consultant out in the street. That's what I was trying to do. I was really like, when I began feeling it in my spirit, I said, no, thank you. Like it was optional. But then I began, well, let me tell the real story. So when sometimes God has to get our attention. And so when I was in my I don't know, God, I'm not sure. I started noticing that I would meet with clients. I'd be sitting down to talk about their website, their social media. And they would want to pray first and all of this. And mind you, I was already Minister Tiffany at the time. And I was like, why are we praying?
They coming for business and they like, come on, can we get Jesus up in here?
And I was like, why? Now I feel bad telling that part of the story, but I was like, why? We're just here to talk about, but God was showing me that there is a space needed for people who really want to do business God's way. And I really began thinking about, at that point, I had been a full-time entrepreneur for about 4 years. And so I had seen some things out there that I said, don't always align with our values. And I say, we do need a space where we can get biblically based business education. And I finally said, all right, God, I surrender. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do it. And so Kingdom Boss really combines my two worlds as Minister Tiffany and also as marketing and branding coach. And you put them together. and you got
Yes. And so you do entire branding from the cradle to the end, websites,
yeah.
persona, the
Mhm.
presentation, packaging, all of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. I really now I say that I'm a spiritual midwife. And I didn't start saying that till just a few years ago when God showed me that. But truthfully, people typically come to me, whether they're seasoned entrepreneurs or newbies, both people tend to come to me in idea space, something new that they're birthing. And they got the ideas, like God has given me this thing, but I don't know how to like really pull it out. And so my gifting is really pulling that thing out of them, helping it take form so they can actually take it to the marketplace. So yes, that's the whole enchilada.
And so you were struggling. I want folks to know that at one
Mhm.
point in time you were struggling, and you went from struggling to thriving. Talk
Yes.
to us about the struggle.
Oh man, listen, I always tell my clients, you've been your customer. I mean, you've been your ideal customer before. It's why you feel a burden. It's why you're credible to go back and get them. And so, oh my gosh, I started my business 9 years ago, freshly divorced, new single mom, just knew that God had something greater. And I knew what my gifts were, but how do I monetize? How do I monetize it consistently? What exactly do I want to do? It took me the first couple years. I stumbled around, I bumped around. And so the questions I ask my clients and the process I take them through is literally the process I went through to go from stuck and stagnant to selling with ease. So that's not marketing language. That's been the journey I've had to walk through. And so now I feel a special passion for those other people who are like, I know God has called me to do something great. I just can't quite figure out how to piece it together. I'm like, oh, I got you. I've been there.
Yes. And I think that's important, because often when we know that we're called, we don't equate it to cash, or people don't do ministry because they think, oh gosh, I'm going to have to be poor. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to struggle. I'm going to have to live in lack. And
Yeah.
that is not consistent even with scripture.
Right, right. You know, I love, just as I've been studying in the word recently, you know how you always pull out different things.
Yes.
And I was looking at where, the prophet comes to the widow woman and she's like,
Oh,
we only got a few bottles or we about to die.
yep.
He's like, listen, I'm going to give you some instructions. But guess what? People miss this part. What he tells her to do is go sell it. That's
Yes.
entrepreneurship. Take what you have
Yep.
to the marketplace. And so we miss those little nuggets that are right in the word for us. There will be times, even now, where God may cause me to sow a seed or do something.
Yes.
But then there are times where it's like, here's the price
Yeah.
for it, because I can't, my mentors have told me I can't serve the world from an empty cup,
Correct.
and so many
Correct.
believers want to help. But the word tells us we got to be blessed to be a blessing. You got to have something in your hand to be able to bless other people.
Well, and the interesting thing is, and we have to have skin in the game. Even when you go to get a mortgage, they want to know, how much are you bringing to the table? What
Yep.
is your investment? Before
Yeah.
we give you $1 million, we need
Yep.
to know, how much of that $1 million do you have? Do you?
Exactly. Right. Come on, you're talking good. Yes.
So I love it. So yeah, they have to make, and we have to make an investment, and we don't go to school for free. Even if we get scholarships and grants and things like that, it
Right.
takes our time, it takes our energy, our level of effort. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for pulling
Mhm.
that out of the scripture. Go sell it.
Go sell it. Take it to the marketplace, sis.
Yes.
The coin back. Okay. That's for you in your house. The coin. Don't get the coin though.
That's right. That is exactly right. And be able to ask for it and not stutter, because you know the value that you bring to the
Absolutely.
table.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Ooh, I could go on and on. I'm gonna let you ask your next question.
No. Look, if you don't follow at Tiffany Bethea, please follow her across social media, visit the website, get in contact with her right now. I don't know how long it will be open when this show airs. I'm not sure it'll still be open, but when you follow her, you will be able to know when she opens up the community again for you to be part.
Open. Oh yeah.
Yes, to become part of the community and be able to interact with her and get good material and information and encouragement. And so we're talking about marketing, branding, spirit, body, and soul. So we talked about the marketing piece. Let's talk to us about branding. You know, when you say that word around believers, they like, what? What's
Right.
that?
And you know what? I'm going to give them some grace because it's talked about so many different ways in the marketplace that I think it can be confusing. I've been doing this for 16 years. And so I got to a space over the past few years where I said, I don't think I need to teach on branding anymore. I think people get it. And then I realized, like, no, that's not the case at all. People are still a bit confused.
What is branding? Yes.
Wow, what is branding and what is their brand? So I want to say, first of all, what it's not the website. It's not the logo. It's not the colors. Those things are visual representations of your brand. But your brand is, now I'm going to just nerd out and give you all the definition I give my students. Okay, so write this down. Your brand is the value space that you hold in the mind of your ideal customer. It's the value space. It's what you're known for. It's the transformation, the experience, how you make them feel when they engage with you. And so whether you sell t-shirts and makeup, coaching, that's what you're known for. You don't know Lexus just for the L. You know them for the luxurious experience. And that is where they focus their brand work. And so what about you? What do people know when I encounter this person's business, ministry? This is what I will walk away with. And that is where your brand, and it's such a spiritual process because I always tell people, we're not going to create your brand. We're going to discover your brands. There was something breathed into you at creation, and your job is to exhale that in the earth. So my job is to find out what that was, pull that out, and let's package that up and get it ready for the marketplace. So.
Ooh. So that's what throughout each stage, the midwifing comes in because you're saying that you're not creating a brand. You're looking to see what is it? What is the value that you already bring every time you encounter somebody? What do people say when they leave your presence?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, Dr. Lisa, don't get me excited. It's funny because I'm coaching some students now in my signature program, and we just had a conversation about their target audience. And this is something that, believe it or not, takes people sometimes a while to figure out, because it's not that you just pick any audience. Oh, I'm going to serve women. It's like, who has God given you oil for? And sometimes people fight that a little bit. One of my students, she feels called to being a single mom, but because she's still wrestling in her single motherhood, it took her a minute to accept that, yep, that's who God is calling you to. And so it's such a spiritual process, honestly, of really understanding where God is calling your influence to. But get this, when you do it properly, selling and growing your business won't be a challenge because you're in alignment with what God has called you to do. Honestly, so many people struggle because they aren't where God has called them to be. And so the people just aren't paying them any mind. And they're like, this marketing stuff doesn't work. No, you're not in the right space.
Wow. So when we show up, as we are, it's not a chore. It's not a task.
Yes.
We'll find the fit.
You. They find you.
Yes.
My clients
I love it.
down now at this point.
Yes,
Honestly, they
true.
find me. And I know it's some good marketing, but it's also a spiritual thing. It's like, that's my gift, aligning the people who need it, you know?
And that's the other piece that you talk about, the spirit, and how important is the spirit? What role does that play?
It's everything. Let me tell you. Oh, Lord, at 9 and some change years in full time, I've done my thing, and I've done the good ideas, and I've done the God ideas. And I promise I'm not saying this to be cliche, but the God ideas are the ones that always work better. My ideas have done okay, like decent, but the God ideas, there's just something different that's God breathed on them. And so I've learned finally to like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? What's in alignment? Because you know For example, I got on Clubhouse in December, having no idea of like what was about to happen or anything, just out of curiosity. And in a very short time, we have 9,300 people who were like, I want to be a part of your movement. That's a God thing. There's nothing I could do that could make that happen. You know
And
what
look, if you don't have Apple, get Apple. So you can
I'm
get an iPad, even if you don't want the phone. Get an iPad so you can get on Clubhouse. Because I'm telling you, when the pings go out and Kingdom Boss shows up on the scene, it is a packed house. Okay, so
But that's God. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way I could know.
Absolutely. For something that you didn't even know what it was,
Right.
and to get on there because God said, look, here's something, get on this,
Yep.
figure it out, here you go. And
Yeah.
for it to explode like it has, the difference between a good thing and a God thing. So
Yeah.
the Spirit is everything.
It's the first thing. It's everything. Everything else is secondary to that.
Oh my gosh. And you talk about the soul. Come on, let's talk about the soul. What role does the soul play?
I'm gonna tell you something. This has become a new phrase for me. I've probably only been saying this a couple months, but I find myself saying, if you want to grow your business, you need a business coach and a therapist. But if you can only afford one, go for the therapist because I have found in all of my years that it's not the information, it's not what I don't know, what I do know. It is how that information is filtered through this mind right here. Because this thing has been here before the coaches came along. This thing has been here through trauma and experiences and what mama said and who rejected me and who hurt me. And that's the person that decides on the pricing and how we show up. That's the person that gets on the phone to do the sales calls. And so it's been here that I've had to do the healing work of how I see myself, not seeing myself as a failure, not seeing myself as the divorce and all of this stuff. And when I talk to people, it's the same thing. It's not that they don't know what to do on social media and all of this. It's the way they see themselves. And so they shrink back and they don't show up big and fully. And that doesn't connect with customers. So the soul part is it's why I couldn't get away from it with Kingdom Boss. I had to include it because I was giving people information that was above where they were mentally. They didn't have the confidence level or the esteem level to actually implement the tips I was giving them. And I was like, oh no, we got to address that. Because if I tell you, you should do a blog and all this fear comes up, oh, we got to talk about that.
Yes.
You know?
So you wanted more for people than they even wanted for themselves. They couldn't even get to the place of seeing it because of the trauma, because of the negative thing that was going on in the narrative.
Yes.
That was playing in head, heart, and soul.
Yeah, wow. The story they were telling themselves was anti what they were paying me for. And I was like, oh no, we have to fix this because success is not about what you do, it's about who you are. And gosh, we don't talk about that enough. Everything in social media is doing and behavior stuff. But I'm like, we're really missing out on telling people the truth, which is that we created this success because of who we became, not what we did.
But that's why I appreciate the fact that you talk about the struggle before you got to the place of thriving, because you hear that is so true. You hear stories of, I see the business, I see that you're doing well, and you're at 10.
Yeah.
But I have to appreciate that I'm at 1. And you didn't start at 10. So
right. I remember being that one with a 2-year-old running around, screaming, crying. I'm trying to figure out my life. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So when we partnership with Tiffany and we partnership with someone who has done the soul work and the therapy work, that you can walk through all of it. But I love it. So you and I love the fact that as a believer, as a Christian, that you don't poo-poo on therapy. I am a firm believer.
Get Jesus plus therapy.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a t-shirt. You know, get the help that you need, because all of the coaches can't help us. if we aren't the best version of ourselves when we show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Lord have mercy.
That is incredible. So you put in the soul piece because you're asking us, your clients, to do this, and you wonder why in 2 weeks they didn't do the blog, they didn't do this, they didn't do the other thing. Wow.
Yeah. And I've had clients be honest about it. I remember I gave 2 clients, this was, like 5 years ago. I gave 2 clients the assignment to go live once a week for a whole month. And when we came back, one of them had done it, was getting speaking engagements, selling books, was rolling. And the second one was like, I didn't do it. And when we boiled down to it, it was nothing but fear and lack of confidence, And so I had to help her push past that issue. Same marketing advice, 2 different people, 2 different results. Wasn't the advice, it was the soil that seed went into. So, yeah.
So talking about the soil, when you said that, I immediately thought about, when you're sitting in church and you hear a good sermon and both of you sitting right next to each other, leave the same service and heard 2 different things.
Yeah. Exactly. One person only remembers the joke the pastor told, and the other person actually remembers the points. Absolutely. It's like, well, we in the same.
Yes. And so how do I excel in business? I'm hearing the same advice, and in my calling in entrepreneurship, being a kingdom boss, I'm hearing the same thing, but the filter is through all of my stuff.
Yep. Absolutely.
And the soil, look, it's not even getting on the soil.
It's not even getting down in here because that concrete ain't letting it through. That messaging that says you can't won't even let through the promise.
Yes.
So, man, I'm very passionate about that.
I love it. And thank you for sharing even about the client, about the single client, and embracing singleness.
Yeah.
Because how often do we feel like, if I'm not in the ideal, what I feel maybe the ideal relationship or the ideal circumstances, or everything has to line up before I can start to do.
Exactly.
So talk to us about that, about starting now as opposed to tomorrow.
You're asking some good questions, Dr. I'm trying to stay calm, calm today. I'm not going to do that to your viewers, but I love one of the miracles where Jesus tells them that they will be healed as they go. And there's something so powerful in that. I resonate with that in the journey. I feel like there are let me say some. There's a whole lot in entrepreneurship, especially, but even in leadership, that is only revealed as you go. And so I see a lot of people they're information hoarders. They're going to take all the classes, read all the books, and gather. And I'm not saying that you should do your due diligence, but at some point, you just have to go. There's a level of revelation and understanding that only comes once you are out there moving and going. And I believe it's a faith thing because God is an awesome God of stewardship. So much is modeled about stewardship in the word, and he needs to see us in action before he can trust us with the next piece. And so somebody's on the sidelines right now waiting for another level of understanding that you're not going to get where you are. You got to go ahead and put one foot in front of the other. You got to actually go ahead and buy the domain or put up something, show that I in faith, God, I believe you. I trust you. I'm going to go ahead and start writing this book. I'm going to do something. And as you go, you're going to find that more clarity, more revelation, more resources come your way. And so I just wanted to say that because I see people well-intentioned, but they're just on the sidelines, just waiting. It's like, that doesn't meet you over there. You got to get in the game before you can get that.
And that's where we can find ourselves 6 months later. We're no further along than where we were 6 months ago because we haven't done anything.
Yeah, but think about it.
Yes.
And at some point, we have to just get in action. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay, so for somebody who's listening, I know that God's timing is perfect, and I often guaranteed happens every episode is I will get a text message, I will get a telephone call, and somebody will be like, oh my goodness, that's exactly where I was at this point in time. So in thinking about that, would you mind speaking to, because you have a unique position in that being a minister of the gospel as well as in the entrepreneurial space and having the experience that you have, would you speak to the heart of the believer that even in the night season can barely sleep because they have it on the inside of them to start something, to start the business, to write the book. But they're afraid because they don't believe that God would call them to do something like that. Because, you know, you don't hear often a lot, depending upon where you worship, right? That God can call us into the marketplace. But would you speak to the heart of the individuals that are listening and God is calling them into the marketplace, but they're afraid to go? They're thinking that they're not hearing God, but it is indeed the voice of God.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you know, I want to encourage someone. First of all, I think we've done a disservice, and I think it's happened a number of different ways where people may feel as though if you're not feeling a call necessarily to the pulpit, that is not ministry. And there are so many examples in scripture where God anointed people for everyday tasks. You know, you see where they are building the tabernacle, and God says, I've assigned you Bezalel and this person who are skilled in craftsmanship. That he wasn't called to go preach. He was anointed in craftsmanship. And so somebody is thinking, well, man, I'm a nurse, or, you know, I want to help children, or I want to do something in the beauty field or education. And I'm not sure that that's ministry, but it absolutely is. And God has called us to infiltrate the corners of the earth. Listen, in Genesis 1, when he told us to multiply and subdue and fill the earth, he was dispatching us out into every industry, every area to take over and to represent. And so the thing is, you're not optional, you're needed. The gifts that God has placed inside of you are answers to problems. And you're not just a good idea if you decide to show up. We're waiting on you. We need what you have. It's not coming through another person. And so I'm going to encourage you to seek God, but watch this, to also do it afraid. So many of us hope, I try to be so transparent about the fact that many of the things I do afraid. I started my clubhouse petrified. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is is anybody going to come? And now, sure, I'm more comfortable. But at the beginning, I was petrified. But what I've learned to do is go afraid. Courage. In Joshua 1, God tells Joshua to be of good courage and to go, right? That word courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means take the fear with you. It means take authority and say, you know what, I'm scared, but fear, you're going to have to just come with me. Come on, fear, we going, because God has called me to do something. And so I want to encourage somebody, read Joshua 1, look at Joshua 1:8, do not be afraid. Do not be courageous and know that God is with you. But what you have inside of you is not optional. You're needed in the earth. And I would encourage you not to go back to glory with that thing still on the inside of you when you've been called to deposit it in the earth. We need you.
Ooh, oh my gracious. Okay, I'm so glad I was off camera.
I had to make a plea, like, we need you. You're not optional.
But I just screamed on the inside because we heard today from the woman of God, from the portholes of heaven, that you are not optional. You are not optional. We need you in the marketplace. We need your giftings. We need everything that you bring to the table.
Yes.
Thank you, Tiffany Bethea, for joining us today on the Blueprint and sharing this good information with us. Soul stirring, marketing, branding, spirit, body, and soul. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been, I've enjoyed this conversation. It's been a blessing talking to you.
Oh my gosh. And please follow her across social media, visit her website, join the community, invest in yourself. Look, do the work. I'm telling you, your life will never be the same from $0 to $10,000 months. She's making it happen. She's doing the work and she has credibility in these streets. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, this is another episode down. I'm super excited. So glad you were able to join us. And I look forward to seeing you next week as we bring another amazing guest as we learn how to create the life that we want, visions and goals, one episode at a time. God bless.